Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to Chocolate Covered Pages. I'm Kiona. So in this video, I'm going to be telling y'all some books that I think all black women should be picking up. So let's get into the video. Okay, so before I get into the books, I just want to say, number one, this is part 2. Make sure you check out part 1 if you have not already. I will put it up above and I will also link down below. Number 2, the last time I made this video was actually a couple years ago, so it's been a while. But I felt like this was a good time to continue this series of books that I think black women should definitely pick up. If you are not a black woman, please enjoy the video. I'm happy that you're here. These books are for everyone. I have just curated this list because I feel like these books specifically, I feel, have been written with black women in mind. At a time where sometimes there's books that are marketed towards us that I feel like they aren't actually for us. So I felt like, it's great to kind of pull these books out, right? So this is also in no way an all-inclusive list of every book that black women should be reading, because I would be here for years. I would be here. This would be the longest video ever if I was going to do that. But these are just some that have come to mind, and I just want to make sure that these are kind of put out there. I think about us when I think about these books. So the first book I want to talk about is actually a series. It is a duology, and the first book is called In Every Mirror She's Black by Lola, Akinmade, Akerstrom. And I'm going to hold up book 2. Book 2 is Everything Is Not Enough. So I'm going to talk about this series as a whole, right? So I absolutely love this series specifically for black women, because this series follows 3 black women and they are all living in Sweden. I really enjoy the perspective of these black women that are living in Sweden, because one is actually, in the first book, one is actually from Somalia. She is a refugee, and the other 2 women are actually American, and they all 3 of these women had moved to Sweden. First of all, I've never read a book regarding black women in Sweden together. Okay, so it is good to see these black women in this new place, and the language barriers, and they deal with some of the same racism that we deal with in America. It's literally just a different language. It's just in a different way, but it's still racism at the end of the day. So all of these 3 women, they are connected to this Swedish man called Shanee. They're all connected to him in different ways. One of them is romantically involved with him. Another one works for him in his company, and another one kind of sort of works for him, but in a different way. I'll just say that. The way these 3 women are having to navigate their lives in this new place with this new language, because none of them are fluent in Swedish, by the way. Okay, so they're all pretty much struggling. I feel like book 1 is an excellent introduction to these 3 women. It's like the author sets the stage for us to meet these 3 women, find out what they got going on, what they had going on before they got to Sweden, and show us how they're all connected to Shanee. And then book 2, baby, book 2 is the one where the author's like, okay, got it, good, y'all know who these people are. Now it's time to turn it up. because this book is the one where the author really turns it up on us. When I tell you, I was reading book 2 and I was just in shock some of the things that was going on. We've got characters making terrible decisions, terrible decisions, but it's so good. It's so good, and you can tell that this book was written absolutely with us in mind. Okay, even in another place, you know, even just think of the title of "In Every Mirror She's Black," meaning no matter where this woman goes, she is going to be black. Whether she in America, whether she's in Sweden, she's going to be black. That is it. And that is something that we definitely have to remember, you know. Otherwise we will be slapped in the face with that reality. The next book I want to recommend is no surprise to anyone that has been watching this channel for the past year. That is absolutely going to be The Street by Ann Petry. And this book is about a single mother named Ludi Johnson. And she has just moved to a building in Harlem with her young son. And this book talks about how did she get to that point, because Ludi was married. You know, in this book we meet this black mom, and she is just struggling to make a way for her and her son in Harlem. There are so many things going on in Harlem at this time. There's drugs, there's so much poverty, there's so much crime. Like, she just can't seem to get ahead, you know. Even at one point in the beginning of the book, we find her working for a white family, and she learns some things. You know, she learned some things about, you know, money and trying to get ahead. But the thing is, it's not the same for her. What works for them is definitely not the same for Ludi Johnson. She, you know, attempts to kind of apply some of the same things that she learned while working for that family, but it don't work for her, because at the end of the day, she is still a black woman. And I think that is a hard pill for her to swallow in this book, that her life is different. You know, she has to do a lot of things that she does not want to do in this book to try to get ahead. I absolutely love this book. And I think that most black women, when they read it, it will probably hit them in the chest. Because even though I am not a single mother, a lot of the things that took place in this book really resonated with me. But, you know, even just, you know, how sexualized she is, you know, how men, even black men, may see her as a possession, you know, something that they could just take, that's something that they see and they want and they feel like they should have just because she exists. And it's just so many things in this book that, I mean, if I could highlight the entire book, I would. I just feel like out of every book that I talk about on this channel that I have recommended to y'all, between part 1 and this part 2, this is one of the books that I read it and I immediately just thought of black women and how I wanted every black woman to read this book. This is also the reason that I ended up making part 2, because I wasn't sure if I was going to make part 2 or not, just because of, you know, just some of the annoying comments that I got from part 1. But I really love y'all, and y'all are still watching part 1, and I think that some people even found me from watching part 1. So it's only right that I continue on with hopefully a series, because I want to keep showing y'all the ones that I've come across that are like, yes, this is for us, you know. Another thing that I will say is the audiobook for this book is just phenomenal. One of the best audiobook narrations I have read. When I tell you that woman was acting, Like, she was putting her all into this audiobook. So whether you want to read it with your eyes, whether you want to listen to it, the writing is beautiful. I cannot say enough good things about this book. And if you have already read this book, drop down in the comments and just let me know like how you felt when you finished reading this book, because I think the word that I would describe this book as when I finished reading it was probably haunting. I was just stuck, you know, and I want that for y'all. I want y'all to read this book and just be stuck like how I was, because I was just like what just happened? This book was written in 1946, and it's very much relevant. Okay, even though it was written a long time ago, it's very much relevant to today. So definitely check this one out. Another book that I would recommend to Black women would definitely be Finding Me by Viola Davis. Now, this one is a memoir, and I think I read this one maybe about a year ago. I thought that this book was just beautifully written, and I feel like a lot of Black women can get something from this book. Viola Davis lived a hard life. She was told some terrible things, you know, about her looks, about her acting ability, about her ability to just be something, you know, anything. And she was also abused, you know. She was also very poor growing up. And I just found this book to be just highly inspiring, you know, specifically to me as a Black woman. Like, I was so inspired by Viola Davis's story, and even though obviously I knew how the story would end up, because, you know, I'm in the present time, I was still like rooting for her like the entire way. Like, I just kept thinking, oh man, like when is she gonna get her big break? You know, I'm just so happy that she ends up getting her big break with obviously How to Get Away with Murder. And I just was so happy for her at the time, as if I didn't already know she was going to be on How to Get Away with Murder. But it was lovely to kind of follow that story to see how did she even get to that point in her life. Because I think that's when when she did that series, that's when I was really like, oh wow. You know, I mean, obviously I knew who she was, you know, but I feel like that was just such a pivotal moment in her career. And it was a pivotal moment in the book, and I was just so happy for her, you know, her finding love. Obviously we know that she's married now, but just all of that. I just wanted all of the things for Viola Davis because she deserved it. She had been through so much, and it was just very inspiring to see, because it was just showing, like, you know, even if you've had a terrible childhood, you grew up poor, you know, you've been through so many things, people have tried to knock you down your whole life, you just gotta keep going. And it's hard, and it's easy to say that, but it's hard. But look what happened with Viola Davis. She just kept going. You know, she didn't let what people said about her keep her down. You know, she was sad about it, obviously. She was hurt about it, but she kept going. She kept going. And look, what if she would have stopped? We never would have got How to Get Away with Murder, and that would have been a travesty. Okay, so I'm just happy that she wrote this book, and I would love to reread it, and I would love for y'all to read it, obviously. The next book I would love to recommend is On Black Sister Street by Chika Unigwe. And this book was translated from Dutch. In this book, we meet 4 Black women originally from Nigeria, and they are all now living in Belgium. And that was very interesting for me because I've not read any books regarding Black women in Belgium. Okay, so we're making our way. You know, we was in Sweden and now we're in Belgium. Okay, so these black women are in Belgium, and we find out why. They are in Belgium working as sex workers. They have a madam, and they have all been living in this apartment together, and they've all been kind of sent there by this man in Nigeria named Dele. And we find out each of these 4 women's stories. How did they grow up? How did they come in contact with Dele to even make their way to Belgium? This is a story about a dream. All of these women have different backstories in Nigeria. Some that were in really terrible situations, so they are kind of looking at Europe as like this place that's like, once I get there, everything is gonna be good. I just need to get there. And Dele kind of looks like this man with the halo around him that's like, I'm gonna get y'all to Europe. You want to go there? You want to make some real money? Okay, I could do that, because I'm a nice guy. I could get you there. I could make your dreams come true. Well, it's certainly not the dream that they all had in mind, but once they're there, they have to pretty much pay Dele back for the transport. Apparently it's extremely expensive, he says, and they have to work as sex workers in Belgium's red light district. And this is what they do. I found this book to just be, I would say, captivating, because I was really interested in these 4 women's stories and how did they end up in Belgium, and just like what they had going on. Because once they get to Belgium, like, these 4 women haven't even all shared their story with each other, and some of them have been living together for some time, but it's like once they get there, they're kind of just like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm sending money back. Some of them are sending money back home to Nigeria for whatever reason. Finally getting their story it just makes the story just so complete for me. And then the ending, just everything about this book, I just really enjoy it. And I loved meeting the different characters and different personalities. And even though some of the women, they are a little kind of like, I don't really want everybody to know my story, there is still a very big sisterhood there. Some of them fight each other, but there is still this love for each other, like real sisters. Even though they're not, connected by blood, they have come to this place. They're from Nigeria. They've come to this place, and they've just come to really love and care about each other. So I love seeing that in the book. And this is another one that I just feel like is for us. This is another one that I also find very haunting, because there are some things in this book that is a bit shocking. That you just like, oh man, like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I just don't know. And apparently this is the author's debut novel, and I would love to read some more of this author that has been translated into English. So the next book I want to recommend is gonna be Evas Man by Gayl Jones. And you might be surprised about this one. Let me just say this. This is the one that is the most loose recommendation, because I will admit that this book will not be for everyone. It will be for black women, but it will not be for everyone's reading tastes, I think, because Gayl Jones is very much experimenting here. This book is written in a way that I've never read any book written like this at all. Now, we are following Eva in this book, and Eva, she takes unreliable narrator to an entirely different level, okay? I've read some unreliable narrators, but Eva, girl, like, did it happen? Did it not happen? I don't know. I don't even know if Eva knows. There is some repetition in this book where Eva might be telling a story but then she might revert back to the very beginning of the story, and then she might repeat a few things. By the time we get the story again the third time, a few chapters later, it might have a little extra sauce on it. Like this and normally on paper this is not something that I would even be interested in, but I'm so happy that I picked it up because it was just so different. Like, talk about bizarre. The things that was going on in this book was just like, wait, what just happened? Why is this happening? But I was just there the whole time. Like, this is definitely psychological fiction. Is that a thing? But it was definitely messing with my mind, because the entire time I really was unsure of what was real, what was not real. Let me just tell you what this book is about. So in the beginning of the book, we find out that Eva, she's in prison for the murder of her lover. And we're trying to find out why. Did she really do it? And if she did, why the hell did she do it? Because, you know, she seems like a regular woman, you know, on the surface. And we find out like how they met, what's the story with them. Eva just has so much unresolved pain, I will say, and it's raw and it's on the paper, and it's not like some of the things that is going on with her. It's like some of the things that is being said. First of all, check the trigger warnings, because there are many. I can't even list them all out in this book, but there's so much more I could say, but I don't want to spoil this one for you. I just think that if you are someone that doesn't mind unreliable narrators, books where you're not fully sure what is going on, but you're just like along for the ride, because I feel like Gayl Jones' writing was just so good that I was just like, listen, wherever you want to take me, just take me. Wherever you want to take me, just take me. I'm okay with it. I don't know where we going, but here's my ticket. You know, like that's how I felt the entire time I was reading this. And I can see why, you know, why she is a name that people still talk about, why people are still reading her books, why books of hers are still being published to this day. I think another thing that I picked up from Evas Man, just kind of connecting Evas Man and the street together, just a common theme was just men and how they were seeing both of these women in these books, just again as these things, and you're there, so like, I want you, why can't I have you? Yeah, I'm gonna have you. You know what I mean? Like forget what you talking about, forget what you want. Why wouldn't you have me? You know, you acting funny, you know, like, oh man, it's a lot. It is a lot. Please pick up these books. Okay, so now that we have some traumatic type books out of the way, can we talk about something fun? Let's talk about a fun book that I think Black women should be reading. So this next one is gonna be This Time Around by Shanee. And why do I want y'all to read this romance novel? The reason why I want y'all to read this romance novel is because, yes, we should be reading, you know, hard-hitting books, right? But we should also be picking up books that show us being loved unapologetically and loudly, and they not playing about us, you know? And I love to read romance where that is happening. I usually like a little bit, you know, more unhinged, but this book was what I would consider a great representation of a black woman just being loved on. So in this book, we meet two professors, and one professor named Dr. Tessa. Dr. Tessa is she's making some changes in her life. You know, she just quit her job out of nowhere as a professor at this school. And we also meet Dr. Cyrus. And Dr. Cyrus ends up taking the job at the school that Tessa has just quit from. And Dr. Tessa has a daughter named Syra, and Syra has begun taking Dr. Cyrus's class. And while she's there, she says, you know what, I would really like it if you went on a date with my mom. I don't know why, but I feel like you and my mom would hit it off. And there's some other things going on in this book that I won't say, but let's just say this is not the first time that they've met, hence the title This Time Around. And I just, you know, immediately Dr. Cyrus sees her and he's like, listen, I like what I see. I like what I see, and I want that, and I'm gonna let you know that I like what I see. And Cyrus spends this book basically showing her all the ways that he would love her, you know, that he would be there for her. And I just loved it. You know, Shanee, she just gets it. You know, she just really gets it. And I was just thinking, I want more black women to read this book, because this man did not play about Dr. Tessa, and he was everything. He was everything. And I just feel like I needed to include this book in this list, because, you know, we don't have to read all the traumatic things. You know, some of us done lived it. We also need some books that are going to be good for us everywhere else. You know, some good representations on what we should be expecting from our significant others. You know, no excuses. No, I don't know. I'm not sure about you. No. Okay? I'm sure about you. I want you. Matter of fact, moving right now, like like that is the type of energy we need. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So that is gonna be it for part 2 of books that I think that black women should be reading. If you have some more that you would like to add to this list that you want me to check out, make sure you add them down in the comment section. If you are new to this channel, make sure that you subscribe, because I make more bookish content like this, and I would love to have you be a part of the family. Give me a like if you have not already, and I will catch y'all in the next video. Bye.